views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
It's time to believe in your own body, mind, and soul. Thrive by Jen takes you through this next hour to help you release your full potential. Jen has been there when the going gets tough, and she's now here to guide you through your own difficulties and help you thrive too. Jennifer Zelop joins Dr. Pat Basile to provide you excellence in self-development and guidance. Sit back and enjoy because you're about to listen to Thrive by Jen. Now, here are your hosts.
Wow. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We got a great show for you today. I'm Dr. Pat, and I'm joined here by the amazing Jen Zelop. Jen, what a great show this is going to be, right?
Oh, this is going to be awesome. They're all my favorites, but I love resilience.
Yeah. I love resilience because I think it's one of those words that people get totally confused with other things. And, today we're not just going to talk about it, but for those of you that are listening to the show, you can actually be watching this on Facebook. This is one of our Facebook live streaming interactive graphic shows because we don't just do like the streaming thing, talking heads. So we've got a lot of cool images to represent the conversation. Resilience is a big one, right? Give us, from your sense, what is it and what did you learn about it?
My favorite way to describe resilience is that it's our mental reservoir. So it's our ability to adapt. It's our ability to grow. It's our ability to learn, but in the face of adversity. So we get all these challenges, right? It's not promised that it's going to be a smooth sailing, but we go through these challenges, and it's like you not only tap into that mental reservoir to get you through those challenges, but you build up that reservoir as well. We learn things, we see things, and it goes into that reservoir that we can call upon it anytime we need it.
Well, what is it that happens when we don't have it? Because let's talk about a little bit of, what happens for many of us that, think we are resilient, but we only find out that we're really willing to throw in the towel kind of early in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you're so right, but it leads to a lot of anxiety, to be honest with you. We have it in us, and it's about tapping into that reservoir and trusting, right? That goes back to one of our first conversations that you and I had about trust. And this is why Thrive is about full circle. It's about all the pieces giving you this strong foundation. So it's about trusting that you have the ability to get through these moments. And look, I just want to take perfect off the table because it doesn't always, it's not always pretty, and it's certainly not always perfect, but we're so much stronger than we think we are.
Yeah. I think that it's an interesting conversation. I was talking with someone the other day, and we were chatting about, why is it as a network, and people are watching this on the Dr. Pat Show, but, we are part of Transformation Talk Radio, which is one of 10 channels. And somebody was asking me the other day, when I was talking to them about our crowdfunding campaign, and they're like, are you ever going to get to a point where, it's just enough? And, what I've learned is that when you're on a mission, when you have a purpose and passion, I don't know that our passion is that enough thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be called passion. It wouldn't be called passion, right?
Right.
So, this idea of resilience is not so we become overwhelmed and burned out. It's really different.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's really the opposite. It's so we don't become overwhelmed and burned out. It's so we tap into, we get resilience by going through the adversities that we go through. we gain resilience by, I talk about this in Thrive, is that we gain resilience by every day doing something that gets us out of our comfort zone. So it could be as simple as going up to a stranger and smiling, or starting a conversation with a stranger. I don't want people to think that this has to be about these tragic events that may have happened in our life. We can build resilience by having a really intimidating workout, or trying something new. Maybe somebody wants to always be a singer, but they are afraid to sing. So you sign up for your first singing class. So that's it starts to build, and then that gives us energy. That gives us the fortitude.
Yeah. I want to talk about what happened in the UK last night with Ariana Grande. And I want to take a moment to just say, our hearts go out to everyone that was involved with that. And, the loss of lives, and, the devastation that one faces when you experience the trauma of that. And, it's a really sad thing to imagine and think about what my mother used to say to me all the time. Here we were, four girls and a boy and a family. And, the girls came first. And so the conversation would be from my mom. And she would say, honey, what I'll tell you, what don't kill you will make you stronger.
Yeah.
And I thought about that for most of my life. And I got to say, yeah. And, in these moments like what we've just seen, at the concert last night, and how people come together on this, there's a sense of humanity that brings us together. And I will tell you that is resilience from the human spirit.
Absolutely. Jen. Absolutely. Yeah. It's 100%. I mean, it's a coming together. It's also, you saw people, right? You saw people running in to help while others were running out.
Exactly.
That again is the human resilience going, because there are hurt. Another human being needs our help. And that's when you dig in, right? You dig in and say, I'm going to help that person. Or somebody, could be standing next to you and need something, and you say, I'm going to help them. Yeah. But that's all part of building that reservoir and having that within you to know that there's a trying circumstance right now, a trying situation, and what can I do? What can I do to help somebody else, and what can I do to get through this?
Yeah, and you know what I love about seeing how communities come together, other than, the coverage and the news, it's the families that come together. But more important, there's a lot that we can talk about the music industry. But one of the things I've discovered, especially about women in music, is you cannot hold these musicians, these peer groups back to support each other. If you looked at the postings that Pink did, to come almost to give some kind of heartfelt opening to, Ariana. I mean, it is a community. And for me, that's part of resilience. It's being able to stand strong, still be vulnerable in the face of some of the most horrific things that may happen in our lives.
Absolutely. These are the moments when somebody says to you, how do you get through it? Like, how do you do it? And the response is you dig down, and you know that others are hurting. So you rise above, you aid, you help, you gain strength from that. You again gain more resilience. And I think too, it's not always about understanding. It's not always about understanding why something happens. But that's part of resilience too, to be honest with you. Sometimes with resilience, you have to, it's about facing what's in front of you. And there's not always a why, and there may not always be an explanation. Maybe in our personal life, a tragedy happens and the why is never found. But that right there is part of resilience. Yeah. Just trusting, maybe not knowing the why, but knowing that this something happened, this tragedy happened, and I have to go on. I have to be strong. I need to be strong for others.
Yeah. I mean, I probably will never know completely why my mother decided to take her life, although she did leave letters behind, you know, so I had a sense of what her struggle was. But we can only make assumptions about what it's like to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. Mm-hmm. And yet at the same time, we know what it's going to take for us to really support each other and build our own level of inner and outer strength, because it's both, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're talking about today.
Absolutely.
You know, we're talking about, you know, what is the inner strength? What is the outer strength? And what are really the key elements of resilience? Does it mean we're never sad? Does it mean we're always upbeat? Does it mean we never fail? That's not my story. I don't know about yours.
It's not my story. No, it's you bring up a great point, though, that kind of highlights part of what helps build resilience is there's this little equation that I say that an event equals story equals problem, or event equals no story equals no problem. So part of it is the story that we attach to the events in our life. So and it happens at a young age. Perception happens. We develop perception, and perception's not always truth. So developing this perception is part of the story. So if we change the story, we can basically change the fact that there is no problem. And I don't mean that a tragic event didn't happen, but that, like, you know, with your mom's suicide and with my dad's suicide, I don't know why. And I at some point in my life, I stopped looking for the why, because all of my whys that I was creating were stories. Yeah. And sometimes those stories really hurt us, and it creates self-limiting beliefs within us.
Absolutely.
And our stories can challenge our resilience. Our stories can make us believe that we don't have resilience. Our stories can make us believe that we can't get through something. So by changing that story, by not creating that story, it really changes the whole outlook of the situation.
Absolutely. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what those stories are. You know, we're going to talk about, you know, what is it that happens to us in our lives that forever changes us? You know, if you're Ariana Grande right now today, clearly her life experience will be different as she moves forward. Clearly the world in looking at this will be different as we move forward. And what is it, you know, beyond the prayers that we can shed, our vulnerability, what is it that we could know about our own personal truth? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back. Treat the Body and Expand the Soul on June 1st with Lynn Brown. In this all-inclusive retreat, you'll treat your body with breakout sessions in the various elements of nature. Enjoy fireside chats while harnessing the healing energy of fire. Allow more light with more ease and activate that connection between the body and spirit. Call 206-931-7356 or visit lynnmbrown.com. Tune in to the hit show Mouthing Off with Chef Rossi. Chef Rossi mouths off about different subjects in pursuit of breaking down walls and opening up your minds. She and Dr. Pat banter back and forth, taking from the headlines of the day on subjects that reach beyond what goes on in the world into your hearts. And go to theragingskillet.com to find out more and let Chef Rossi know what's on your mind.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404. Awareness is universal. Establishing a living awareness through meditation brings peaceful, healthy, and creative well-being into your everyday life. The practice of living awareness, Spirit Fire's own meditation practice, is built on this belief and is designed for every level of practitioner. Each year, Spirit Fire hosts living awareness meditation retreats that allow you to explore the practice in depth at our retreat center in beautiful Western Massachusetts. Introduce yourself to meditation and the practice at the Foundation's retreat. Attend, in silence, a silent meditation retreat focused on mindfulness, presence, and nature, or be engaged with the meditation sittings themselves at the Deepening Retreat. Start adding to your awareness and attend a meditation retreat designed to cultivate consciousness in your everyday life. For details on attending a Living Awareness meditation retreat, visit upcoming events at www.spiritfire.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Dr. Pat. I'm joined by Jen Zellup here today. And listen, we're talking about resilience. You know, when we planned this show, we didn't have a sense of what was going to happen in the world, the backdrop for our conversation today. But, you know, what is it that resilience does for us or doesn't? You know, for me, you're going to hear both Jen and I talk about some life-changing stories. Because I could look at my life, and Jen, I think you could too. You could look at your life and come up with a story that absolutely is not going to serve you. But before we get to that, folks want to know, first of all, how are we going to find out more about you? And also, how are we going to be able, you know, to get information based on the work you do and how you do it. So let's stop for a minute and give out some information, and then I'll do the same.
Sure. Visit jenniferzellup.com, and feel free to also email me at jenniferzellup@yahoo.com. I love to hear from people, especially with the topic of resilience, because resilience is about our stories. Resilience is about what has happened, and you know, a dream of mine is to be in a society where people are very open to discuss what has grown their resilience rather than hide it.
Yeah. And we're getting better at talking about stuff now. I mean, it's not like we, you know, for example, like us today. I mean, one of the things that, you know, is kind of cool is that the old school way used to be, if you're doing a show like this, or you're like doing like on Oprah, or you're on Ellen, or even Judge Judy, right, has come out and has said like, man, this is my life. It used to be, no, don't share your secrets. Don't tell your stories, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that about?
It's, you know, I am gosh, we were that family. I mean, my mom was adopted, and no one, it was not allowed to be discussed. We didn't even know until my brother had gone to get his marriage license and put down what he thought was my mother's name. And they had no record. And he's like, you know, they were like, I'm sorry, I can't give you a marriage license. So he came home and said, you know, Mom, I don't understand. I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, it's time for me to let you know that I was adopted and I have a different last name. And we were like why?
Wow.
Like, why wouldn't you talk about, you know?
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah, but it was never discussed. It was never discussed. And that just, I mean, that fed into, you know, just another, but again, too, you know, that goes back to what we just talked about was, right, creating these stories. My mother created a story about her adoption. And to be honest with you, her version is, I believe, couldn't be further from the truth, just based on, you know, my grandmother was a single woman in the late 1930s that hired a female attorney and was the only single woman at the time that was given the adoption. And my, you know, grandmother, just was crazy about my mother, just, you know, wanted to raise her and wanted to love her and be with her. And my mother created this whole other story.
Yeah.
And it changed the course of her life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in my family, just to give you a sense of what I'm saying is, you know, for years until my dad passed away, you know, it was really clear my mom died when I was 6 years old, but the circumstances around it were never talked about. And, you know, it wasn't until, you know, I was in my late 30s that my stepmom handed me letters from my mom to my dad, and my stepmom had held on to these letters. And the good news is she did. You know, that's who this woman was. She actually taught me resilience. But, you know, part of this is the shame, the guilt, you know, why we tell the stories or hide the stories. But you know, we know this now in psychology. We know that when you're holding secrets, and we know this about physical and sexual abuse, right? We know the consequences of holding secrets around this are devastating. You know, it's hard for an individual to have any kind of relationship when they're carrying so much anger and resentment and fear. And we now know there are other ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I want to stress resilience as such a upbeat, positive word, because I have clients who have gone through what I consider the sexual abuse as being one of the worst abuses. But it's created this part, it's the event and going through it and learning and growing and becoming the human being that they've become. They're so beautiful and they're so strong and they have so much to give. And to me, the word resilience is about that beauty. So share your story. Let me hear that story. Let me hear. I don't want to confuse, creating a story versus an event that happened. Share with me that event. Tell me that event. Let's talk about that event, because it's helped mold you. It's helped create you. And it's important too to say at this point to make sure this is a great time for you to really take inventory of the people who surround you, because
huge.
You
Huge.
want to be around people who like-minded. You want to be around supportive people. You want to be around who, when an event happens, they say to you, okay, let's move on. What do we need to do? What do I need to support you? Let's move on. Not to hold you down. Not to make you feel that you can't talk about this event.
Yeah. Well, part of it is really not to always have you be wrong.
Yeah.
Wronged at it. Your life is wrong. Your story's wrong. And we see this with women quite often, right? Where, they become slaves of their own stories. I know for a long time I was.
Yeah.
But now I'm hoping that we're helping others to embrace and claim their life's journey, period.
Yep.
Not whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, but just embrace your life's journey.
Yes.
Because we get to believe in benevolence and not malevolence. We get to believe in an energy and life force that literally is the good of the vibration that we can bring forth.
Yeah.
We have that ability. We have an innate ability to literally change the way a snowflake looks by how we feel and sound.
Yes. And right, the thoughts, our words. So, last night it was interesting. Something popped up. It was a commercial that popped up on the TV, and it talked about suicide. So it caught my attention. And what they're finding now is that they can find a genetic link to, if my father committed suicide, that us and future family potential have the potential for committing suicide. Right. And I thought for a moment, and literally what came to my mind was, no way, we're ending that here, because I through my work and what I've known and what I do for coaching, I can understand that if I had a different story, if I created a story around my father's suicide, that could be me. That absolutely could be me. I'm not invisible from it, but I made a decision to take that suicide and make it part of my resilience.
Yeah.
Where my brother, to be truthful, my brother didn't. He made a story, and his life is the opposite of mine.
But here's what's interesting. Bruce Lipton has come out, Biology of Belief, has given us other choices and other ideas, right? Even to the point where, the genetic information about disease is up for grabs. The question of nature versus nurture. And, the idea of having a genetic link to suicides, it's an interesting notion, right? At least for me, when I look at it from a psychological point of view, when somebody in your family, like my mother, when my mother decided to take her life, what's the message that a child gets, right? So the good news for me is I didn't know that about her until I was older and a little bit more saner, okay? But what would have been the impact of me knowing that? Would it have given me a pass out? Would I have said to myself, wait a minute, my mother did it, so maybe it's okay for me to do it? Would it have said to me, wait a minute, life is way too hard, Pat. Why don't you bail out now? Mom did it, so it must be okay. See, those are the things we're not talking about.
Absolutely.
We're not talking about those linkages as much as we could.
We're not talking about those linkages, and really that if you follow one way, that's where it's going to lead you. But there's an option and there's a choice, and you can follow another way. And that's why your work, my work, this is why we're so passionate about sharing with people that there's that other way.
There are choices.
There's choices.
Absolutely.
There's choices. And what I love about people sharing their events that have happened in their lives is that for me personally, if somebody can do it, then that means that I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You paved the way. So if you can break the chain of suicide, then I know it's possible. I can do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I love to put the positive word resilience around events that happen in our life, because if you hid that, I would have been open with you about my dad's suicide, but you were first and very open with me. And I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I'm like, my father, I took the same path. So it's, you weren't shy about talking about it.
No, because like I said before, secrets are deadly. If nothing else, they will put, a level of toxicity in our consciousness that we cannot overcome. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, well, wait a minute. What can we do? How do we step from those things that are so heartbreaking, so sad? How do we build resilience? And again, both Jen and I, our hearts go out, our prayers go out to all of those folks, those young people affected by what happened last night. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
When your body is awakened, your spirit comes alive. Dana Canetto is a transformational guide, embodiment coach, and spiritual mentor assisting women in realigning with their truth and embodying who they are by connecting to the wisdom of their body. Tune in every month on Transformation Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show Network for Body Divinity Radio with Dana Canetto. For more information on Dana and her services, visit danacanetto.com. That's DANACANNETO.com.
Gifted intuitive healer and spiritual teacher Sarah Luce brings her unique style to the hit show Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in each month as Sarah turns reality on end and shows us how to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. For show details and upcoming topics, visit sarahluce.com. That's SARALOOS.com.
Tune in to Dynamics of Diversity Radio, scripting the new narrative for immigration with leading experts Kripa Upadhyaya and Steve Tanijo on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This show will remove the noise that often accompanies discussions on this topic and share a new perspective on the dynamics of immigration and diversity, ever reminding us that together we are all at the core of innovation, excellence, and positive change. Visit OrbitLawPLLC.com for upcoming topics.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Check us out, the drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Dr. Pat Show on Transformation Talk Radio. You're also listening to Thrive by Jen Zellup joining me here today. Jen, how can people find out more about you? Because, this is your area of expertise here, helping people thrive is so important in the work you do and the passion. What's the best way for them to find out more about that?
To visit me at jenniferzellup.com or email me, jenniferzellup@yahoo.com. And I love to communicate with people. Visit the website if you'd like to send me questions about joining Thrive and seeing what the program is about and building the foundation for what we're talking about today and on the other shows, building the foundation that allows you to create your Thrive life, which fits into our topic for today of resilience and tragedies that happen. That's part of your that's part of building the life that you desire, the life that you want, and not letting tragedies that have happened to us personally stop us from doing that.
Yeah. And we're really having this conversation in the face of a number of things, right? Yeah. We're talking a little bit about the experience last night, the devastation of lives. I got an email was it this morning? Yeah, I think it was this morning, and I haven't had a chance to really pay attention to current events myself other than what happened last night. But I got an email from one of our listeners who has heard me talk about what the level of addiction and alcoholism is in this country, just staying here.
Yeah.
And in Canada, fentanyl. I mean, my gosh. So what we have to say is, yes, Medicaid is on the table to be cut, but wait a minute, let's not roll over about that. Right. Let's see what you might do as a mom that's very, very concerned about that. What might you do? And that's what this segment's about. There are things we can do. Where do we find the strength, though, Jen, to do them? I know I've been able to pull myself up, but I've had a lot of angels in my life.
Yeah, it's true. It's building resilience is also about starting small. So it's about small daily things that we can do to build up that reservoir. Because don't forget, this is a reservoir that we are going to tap into. And you and I were just discussing on break that we don't always know what our level of resilience is until we're faced with something, right? It's kind of a surprise. It's not,
So, no, you're right. Yeah, I mean, we don't eat spinach, and say, I'm eating a spinach to be resilient, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we wait till our body literally falls apart, and then we decide maybe I should eat a little spinach.
Exactly. So building resilience, we do small things. Challenging yourself every day, getting out of your comfort zone. And everyone's comfort zone is different. So you really have to take an evaluation of what makes you uncomfortable. You know what it is. I just have to say something and you'll be like, I don't know if I can do that. So if that's if that's what you're feeling, do it. Go do it. So maybe it means doing a workout that makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it means cleaning up your diet, which makes you uncomfortable.
You got to go from fear to action.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Every day, take action. Every day. So write down, that's why I say to people, write down your goals and create action steps for those goals. Because I
love this.
Yes.
Now, I cannot believe we are talking about this thing today, because this is so at the heart of what really stops the show right here. This is the difference right now for all y'all listening to. That's my little Southern thing. My stepmom is from the South. Boy, that just came right out. I think I'm channeling my mom right here. Doris, I'm channeling you, honey. My mom. Oh, now I call myself honey. That's my mom too. Because I'm telling you, this is not the time to roll over.
No.
Not now, not about Medicaid, not about what happened, not about terrorism, but certainly not about your own life dreams.
That's right.
This is not the time to put things on hold. This is the time to light a rocket up in your dreams, shoot for the stars, and make it happen.
Exactly. Every day. Literally every day. And there's time. We all have the same hours in a day, and there are people that make a lot happen in a day, and there are people that don't make a lot happen in a day. And you need to reevaluate that, because you have the time. There's always time. And you'll start to light that passion. You'll start to get that energy. But every day, take action and get out of your comfort zone. Reach for those goals. When we take action steps, those action steps to reach a goal, it's uncomfortable, but that's what builds resilience. And then when we're, my wish is that no one ever is faced with something that requires them to tap into that reservoir. But the reality is we are, and things happen. But that's when you have that resilience and that will to go on and to do good and to take something tragic and get something from it and share it with others. I mean, that's empowering. That's empowering. I mean, we all have the ability to empower others, but it starts with us. It starts with us.
Well, this is the thing that I'm really so aware of right now. And that is that, the world needs a way for us to connect. And, Jen, here's the thing, back to what this a friend of mine said about, man, wait a minute, everybody around you, Pat, is like retiring and, getting on the boat and taking the RV. And, my buddies right now are on an RV someplace. And what are you doing? Like a Facebook Live thing? What? What? And, here's the thing. This idea of resilience wasn't this notion that we were given by my mom, right? To say, you only do it once. You only have to be resilient once. I think part of resilience is knowing that if you have a way to create a better world, then that's yours to do. That's what we're doing here. That's why we're creating an entire media community through our Positive Media Mojo that we're building.
Yeah.
Why? Because we know we can help, right?
Right.
You too.
Absolutely. And also even if we bring it on the smallest scale, look, I'm going to be transparent here. There are mornings I need resilience just to get out of bed. I mean, there are just mornings that, I'm like, I don't know. I'm a real person. So doubt comes in and just self-limiting beliefs. And, I make the choice to put those tools to work that I teach others to use, that I use on myself. And I have to dig into my resilience reservoir, maybe not so deep into the reservoir, but I have to dig in there. And I'm like, nope, we're going to make something out of today. So get out of bed and let's do this.
Yeah.
So it's something that, but it's so rewarding. It's so there was a day, and you hear this expression all the time, smile at somebody, right? It'll make a difference. You could change somebody's life.
That's right.
And there was a day, and it was not too long ago, and it was just a really crappy day for me. It was just bad. It was just, I was in a bad place. I would even have my tools, and I was like, you know what? I'm not using the tools today. I just need to stay here for a few minutes, and I'm going to stay here. And I was in a store, and I got this enormous smile from another human being who just passed me. And it immediately lit up my face. And it immediately change. And I said to myself, you know what? In that moment, that smile gave me what I needed to just go on, move forward, and make something out of that day. So it really matters. Like everybody makes a difference.
Yeah,
everyone
they
makes
do.
a difference.
They do. We're going to share some tools right now. We're going to go ahead and skip the break because we've got a lot to cover. I alluded to one of them, and that was that, you don't wait to eat spinach. I mean, metaphorically spinach.
Right.
You don't wait till your body breaks to put the spinach in. We now know a lot about how to get our body, our mind, and our spirit fit.
Yes,
absolutely. And, it's hard to play catch up in that arena, isn't it?
It's very hard, especially, look, I'll be 47 in a few months, and I'm faced a lot of times with clients of mine who start a workout program or start an eating program, and they do phenomenal, and then they want to be done, and they're my age, and I sit, and my share with them is that this gets harder to do.
Yeah.
It gets harder to do as we get older because it's about bringing it into our everyday life, right? It's about making changes and getting it into our everyday. So, but starting with a foundation of good nutrition and a foundation of moving the body is key. It's so key. And that is part of resilience. That's also part of heart. That's part of trust. It's everything that we cover in our Thrive program that we'll talk about, but that's the foundation. If things aren't flowing and moving, it's so much harder, right, Dr. Pat, to get out of, to get out of your head and go into your heart, to change other people's lives, to get up and to smile. If you're not feeling good, that's your first hurdle. Now I don't feel good. Now I have to get over the hurdle of not feeling good. So just every day, that's your foundation, movement and good nutrition.
Yeah. And, part of this too, for me, is the spiritual aspect of life. I've gone through many, many different practices in my lifetime. What did I learn? Well, as a child, I was actually at Catholic boarding school when my mom passed away. But I've known one thing, and that is that there is a benevolent force in the universe. Some people call it God. There are different names for it. But whatever that is, it's a benevolent universe. And I have to hold on to that. Yeah. That energy, that life force. I have to hold on to the idea that this is something that is outside of me and inside of me, and that I have the capacity to do good things in the world, even if I don't believe it. Even if I don't believe it.
You're so
and some days I don't believe it. Some days I think, well, wait a minute. I'm way over my head here with this. How is it that I get to talk about a positive media network? I mean, what? And I question myself. I doubt myself. And doubt, I think, is one of the more offensive one of the more offensive toxicities to annihilate resilience.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And I just want to add on to that in that moment of doubt, when you apply the tools to get you through that, now all of a sudden your resilience is like, you come back and you're like, you want to give the big, middle finger to that doubt.
That's right.
So use those to our listeners out there. Like, being in doubt is real, but use those tools that we share with you, because the other side is like, you can do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I learned it, listen, it took me 13 years to get an undergraduate degree. I learned the power of absolute resilience in that way. I mean, it's not like, you wake up one day and somebody hands you like a magic thing and says, oh, this is resilience. Now you got it.
You're right.
Don't we have to learn it through our own life, our own lessons? And then hopefully we can help others by passing the tools on.
Absolutely. And a lot of times in our daily life, resilience is about doing what you don't want to do.
Oh,
it's literally that simple. It's literally, it could be paperwork. It could be, sitting down and finally doing your taxes. It could be, calling that friend that maybe you've had an argument with, or calling that relative. Resilience comes from simple everyday activities of doing what we don't want to do. And that's why, again, going back to the foundation of nutrition and movement is not everybody wants to do those things. I get it. But that, again, is about building resilience, doing what we don't want to do.
Yeah. What have you found is some of the best ways to get ourselves off the couch, right? I've been there. I mean, I created an entire brand called Crust Busting because of my inability to get off the couch back in 2003.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
What have you learned to help your clients begin the process?
The why. Know your why. Know what's bigger than you. And whatever that is. So it's different for everybody, but think about your why. And I'll give you an example for me, and then I want you to think about the opposite. So for me, part of my why is being a role model to my 2 kids. So when there are moments when I don't want to do something, immediately my tool is I go to their faces in my brain, and I think about not doing it, and I think about what could happen, what they're going to learn if I don't do it, what kind of role model I'm not being, what they could possibly think of me, or what I'm teaching them, the story for them to create. So that immediately will shift me and be like, okay, I got to do this. I'm going to go do this. So have something bigger than you. We've become I say this with love, I really do, but we really become a selfish society of wanting things now, of me, of what's in it for me, how is that going to help me, and just shift a little bit. And especially when again, okay, bring it back to yourself and taking care of yourself, right? Because I don't think that that's selfish. I think that's our number one self-loving thing that we can do. So, but taking care of yourself, and now make it about something else. Make it bigger. Make it bigger than you. Make it bigger than you. Maybe your why is to change the world. Maybe your why is to help your mom succeed, or help your mom achieve something, or your dad or a grandparent. A why comes in so many forms, but make it so just bigger than you. And then I want you to know the opposite effect. I want you to know the impact. I want you to have the impact, that vision in your mind of, if your why, the opposite of it, and by you not doing that action, what the potential is. Yeah.
Each of us has a different why, and I think our whys change. There's a point in my life that my why was get up and sell them hot dogs from that hot dog cart. And, just so I can get enough money so that I could go dancing in Manhattan.
Yep.
Right. That was my why. That got me to get up selling them hot dogs and sell them. Boy, I could make a hot dog to this day. Yep. That was my why. And sometimes I have to remember that, because I get to create this life. No one else can help with that. Thank you for today. I wanted to, again, if people are wondering where are you, and you're at your gym, right?
My brick wall.
right.
I do. I like this wall. It's an energy wall for me.
I love it. It's cool. It reminds me a little old school. But tell folks how they can find out more about you, how they can work with you.
Sure. So the website is jenniferzellup.com. And also, too, you can visit me on Facebook. It's under Jen Zellup. And also feel free to email me at jenniferzellup@yahoo.com. And I would love to hear everyone's stories of resilience, because, like we said before in the beginning, it's something that we should share that, we should share it. It could change. I know it will change lives.
Absolutely. For those of you out there, I want to thank you for tuning us in, turning us on. I'm Dr. Pat. And by the way, what we're going to be doing is we've got another hour coming up. One last question. Mm-hmm. What's your personal message, Jen? What would you like to leave us with today?
Everyone deserves literally the best and deserves to create the Thrive life. There are some things that we need to do to get it, but everybody has the potential for it. Everybody can do it, and everybody should do it. And and you all deserve it. Everyone deserves it.
I love it. Jen Zellup, everybody. I'm Dr. Pat. We're going to take a shorty. And if you've missed any part of this, it will play again. Well, it's actually on Facebook. So yeah, we'll see you in a few minutes.
You've been listening to Thrive by Jen with Jennifer Zellup and Dr. Pat Baccili. Join us monthly to train your body, mind, and soul to operate as one. Because when you thrive, you shine on all levels and you can accomplish anything. For more information on how to excel down to your deepest being, visit thrivebyjen.com and stay tuned for the newest Thrive by Jen on the Dr. Pat Show Network and Transformation Talk Radio.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.